Welcome, everyone, to another edition of Ask Octopus. I'm Bob Walker, and joining me today is Ryan Russo and Derek Campbell.
Hello.
Hey, everybody.
And we're going to hopefully answer an interesting question that we got in this week. How can I stop deployments from happening during an upgrade? So have you guys seen this question come through at all, or is that even a concern of you guys?
Definitely. This used to happen to me all the time when it's like you're trying to get the maintenance done. You're trying to do some bits and bobs, Windows updates, etc. And people are trying to deploy, and then it just kind of extends things, and you'll land up there till 6, 7 o'clock at night. So yeah, I get this as a user and as an employee.
Yeah, when I was using Octopus, we didn't run into this a whole lot because we did our Octopus upgrades on the weekend. And usually only like once a month, and we didn't do weekend deployments, so it wasn't a concern for us. But I could see, larger companies, or especially companies that have can do a deployment 24/7, definitely could be an issue.
Yeah, and I saw it when I ran into it. It was build servers, because you just check in code and the build server automatically build and deploy the code right to dev. And people aren't trying to do it intentionally. They're just, I'm checking in some code, or I'm pushing up some code. It could just be, I want to do this right before I go to lunch, so if my computer crashes over lunch, I don't lose anything. And so
I was the ops guy at the other end, trying to keep you off the server.
Yeah, absolutely. So we added a couple things to Octopus Deploy to hopefully make this a lot easier. First one is when you're ready to do a upgrade, you can do what's known as maintenance mode. And you do that by coming to configuration and then clicking on maintenance. And you'll see right now it's just a pretty blank screen, but when you click on enable maintenance mode, what it will do is when maintenance mode is enabled, only people with administrator rights in the system have the ability to come in and initiate deployments. Everybody else, like your build servers and everybody else, those will just be backed up into the queue. So you'll just see it to start backing up more and more and more as you have the maintenance mode enabled. And that's really great for situations where you do an upgrade and you want to do some tests after you do the upgrade. If the real concern is like stopping everything from running, then what you'll want to do is you want to come in here and you want to drain the node. And what this will do is this will drain all the nodes' tasks. So basically, it'll wait for the task to finish up, but no matter what, neither of these nodes will pick up anything. And you can actually see the messages change. So that's actually new. I'm using 2019 4.2, but that's really cool that we added that in there. So all Octopus server nodes are in this cluster of draining tasks. So what that means is no work is going to be processed whatsoever. Even administrators can't kick off any work. That will also make sure that you have nothing new coming on and trying to do any type of work. Or if you have multiple administrators coming in, they're not going to be stepping on your toes at all. And in fact, for my automated upgrade process that I put together, that's what I did. Is I put the server into maintenance mode, and then I stop and I drain all the nodes. And then I do my backup by database, because then I know that there's no new tasks getting processed or anything like that. And then I do my upgrades. First, I do it on my primary, then I do it on my secondary. So you'll do this right before you want to do the actual upgrade itself. And then once that upgrade is finished, if it doesn't automatically turn the nodes back on, you'll want to come in here and you'll just want to disable the node drain. And then that'll say, okay, now I can start picking up tasks. Then you can come in here and you can start doing other work. So if you wanted to come in here, you can come into your infrastructure and say, oh, I got some items in here I need to upgrade Calamari. So you could come in here and you could do some minor upgrades, or you can do some tests yourself, or you can do any number of different things on the server before letting everyone else come back in. Ideally, I would say your maintenance mode and your drain node mode should be pretty small. Hopefully it's measured in minutes, not hours. But this will allow you to do work within the system without having everyone else trying to hammer it.
That's really interesting. I just had like a related question pop in my head that I've heard a few times. Would you use either of these to implement like a code freeze for a team? Let's say, like, assuming your like it would be Octopus wide and not just for a certain team. Say if you had a company wide code freeze. I'm thinking of like maybe it's retail companies around Black Friday and they don't want to push any updates that are going to impede any users from getting in and purchasing things.
So this is more of a hammer and not a
Yeah, it's not
It's
a
not-
finesse solution.
yeah, it's not a scalpel. So yeah, it would stop everything from being upgraded. So even if developers checked in code, you would not see any of that new code getting pushed even to dev or test for people to start testing different things.
It's funny because I think I actually never even thought about. I always just used to upgrade the tentacles or calamari straight after, and then after coming out of maintenance mode.
Mm-hmm.
So that's actually a good approach there, where we could do so you can actually continue with your tentacle and your calamari updates, so that you can then do that outside of any normal deployments as well.
Mm-hmm.
I do like to know that, because often as well, as something just obviously people, when you do this, make sure you take it back out. Often,
Yeah.
I see people coming back and they forget to take the drain off, and they're like, "Why is nothing running?" So just obviously when you do that, that's definitely a recommendation. That makes things a lot easier.
But and back to Ryan's question, if you are using spaces, so I have different spaces enabled, you can come into the space itself. So say, for example, this one, and I can tell a specific space to stop processing all tasks.
That's
So
nice.
if you wanted to lock down a team from doing anything, that's a really good use case, I think, for spaces. Is like certain teams, I imagine, they need to be kind of in a code freeze at that particular point in time. This would stop them from accidentally doing anything.
That would be awesome, actually. That's really good.
Yeah, I found that just by accident, not really by accident, but I was creating some spaces and I saw that. I'm like, oh, that's really kind of handy. So I'm going to take my server out of maintenance mode now before I forget. It's pretty easy to do. And it's really easy to actually invoke via the API. So inside here, I have a small script that just comes in here and it just says raw request is in maintenance mode equals true. And then I just send that up to the URL, basically to my server, and handles everything for me. And then obviously the exact opposite is in maintenance mode is false. So it's really easy to set even in the API, so you can do it in an automated fashion. I do highly recommend you have your upgrades configured to do all this stuff and to do it in an automated fashion. Maybe you don't have the maintenance mode, take the server out of maintenance mode automated, or maybe you have a manual intervention sit between here. I had that for quite a while, but since I'm the only one that manages this cluster and I'm the only person that accesses this cluster, that just became a big pain for me.
Always waiting on yourself.
Yeah, I always approve my own upgrades. I mean, totally corrupt. But I would highly recommend you have something like that set up, because at this particular point in time, then upgrading would take seconds, because everything's all scripted out and handles everything. But yeah. All right. That is it for me this week. I want to thank Derek and Ryan for joining me today. And if you have any questions, go ahead and submit them to us at hello@octopus.com/askoctopus, or email us at support@octopus.com, or just join us on Slack and go ahead and ask your questions. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining us today, and have a great rest of your day.